Okay, now you can see how technical this unit is. This course is pretty well set up. It goes in order of difficulty. Okay, the first unit was all review, most of it. Second one, but you guys are maintaining the same average, and you will keep maintaining the same average because, let's face it, now you should know your math a little bit better than when you started the first unit. Okay, because math you do have to get kind of practiced up in it. It is a language, right? Anytime that you will go to a country that speaks a different language, it's quite the shock at the beginning, but you just pick up words, and by the time you leave, you're not fluent, but you can kind of, you can pick up some, you'll know where the words bathroom. That's an important one to know if you're visiting a country that you don't know the language. Bathroom and food, those are kind of important things. You figure out where's food and where's the bathroom. And then life's pretty simple after that. Okay. Now, what we're going to be doing today is we are going to do everybody's favorite long division, dividing a polynomial by a binomial. Okay. So this is kind of like the true Disneyland of the Math 30-1, where you better buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. So there are tons and tons of things that can go wrong when you do division of a binomial, and as you will first see. Now I'm going to try to teach you today at least the language. Now the way I want to look at that is I actually want to do 20 divided by 3. Now this is called the dividend, and this is called the divisor. Okay, because it's the thing doing the dividing. Now remember, this can also be written as 20 divided by 3. Okay, so you can see what is the dividend, what is the divisor. And the quotient is the answer to division. What's the answer to multiplication? Product. How about subtraction? Difference. Good. And addition? Sum. Okay, so you need to know those words quite well, obviously, for that big test coming up. Sum, difference, quotient, product. Okay, now what if I do take 20, and I want to divide by 3? Well, I want to first see how many times does 3 go into 2? And I go, oh, it doesn't. So then I go and I do the next 2 digits together. How many times does 3 go into 20? 6. Okay, so 6 times 3 is 18, and then I get this. Now, what does this even mean? What does this mean? Well, how would you explain this to like a 10-year-old when after you divide it and then you get this? It's a remainder 2, yeah, but what is 20 divided by 3? Could anybody answer this question? What is 6 divided by 3? Or 20 divided by 3? 6 and a little bit? That won't be on the diploma, though. You just divided it out. The 10-year-old's looking at you going, yeah, so what does that mean? What does that mean? What's the answer? Is it 6? What do you get? 20 over 3, that's all you get? What is it? What's the answer? 6 and 2/3. Now another way to explain, because they're going to be like, what? 6 and 2/3? That's like 6 plus 2/3, okay? And it's like, what? 2/3? 2/3 of a whole. So there's 6 wholes plus 2/3. So pizzas are always good, right? Kids are like, pizza. Okay, I know what a pizza looks like. So that's 6 pizzas and then 2/3 of a pizza. Then you draw them a pizza and you show them 2/3, and they're like, oh, yeah, I get it. Okay? That's 6 2/3. So what is 20 divided by 3? It's 6 2/3. Okay? And then, all right. Now, this, if we do this, the dividend, 20 divided by 3, the dividend would be 20. The divisor would be 3. The quotient would be 6. And the remainder would be 2. Okay? Now, there's always two ways to be able to write the answers to this. You could have 20 equals, now this is what we just did right here. Does everyone see that's what we got? 20 divided by 3 is 6 plus, or and 2/3. Now, just so you know, and is plus. That's what and means in math, okay? Now, I think it's fair to say that this one is true, the one before it. 20 equals 3 times 6 plus 2. That's another way you can explain it to a 10-year-old. 20 is 3 times 6 plus 2, because there's a time the kids have to start dividing. Like, it always works out nice. Like, it's 18 divided by 6. Yeah, it's 3. Yeah, 20 divided by 5. Yes. And then the next year, they don't work out so nice. Everyone's like, it's kind of like we did with the last unit. You hadn't seen those for 11 years. You guys have never done logarithms. Well, for 5 years of math, they never see remainders. Then all of a sudden they get and negative numbers. Ask any kid that's like in grade 1 or 2, ask them what 3 minus 6 is, and they'll say you can't do it. Right? And sometimes I know because whoever teaches the math makes that mistake sometime, and they're like, oh, okay, you guys, we can't do those ones, right? And I really think negatives don't exist and remainders don't exist. And then all of a sudden they come along. So this is explaining that whole concept, because sometimes it doesn't go nice, okay? Now, if I was to take this one here, where's my mouse? Get over here. This one here, and if I was to multiply everything by 3, what would I get? If I was to multiply this by 3, this by 3, and this by 3, you see how I would get 20 equals 3 times 6 plus 2? Does everyone see that? Well, the 3's cancel, and then 3 times 6. Okay, so I get this. So these two forms you will have to know extremely well. The trick is, could you differentiate? What is the remainder? So these are the two ways you will be asked to write it. Dividend equals divisor times quotient plus remainder, or dividend over divisor equals quotient times remainder. It will also be, in fact, not also, it will be written like this more. P equals dq plus r, or P over d equals q plus r over d. Now that looks pretty overwhelming if you haven't been showing up for class and you get to the diploma and they're like, yeah, write it in the form P over d equals q plus r over d. But P always stands for polynomial, D always stands for divisor, Q is quotient, and R is remainder, okay? Always remember that these things, right? 20 is the same thing as 3 times 6 plus 2, right? And 20 over 3 is the same thing as 6 plus 2 over 3. So maybe you want to have a good simple one in mind, because when you start dividing by polynomials, you'll see the plot thickens a little bit. Okay, speak of the devil, let's divide. Okay, so here would be a question that I would be extremely surprised if someone could get this one on a test if they haven't been to class. Some people who've been to class will not get this one, especially if they don't do a study sheet. Now we're going to take y cubed minus 6y plus 20, and we're going to divide it by y minus 3. It's got to be in the form p over d plus q, or equals q plus r over d. Okay? Easy, right? How hard could this one be? Now, there's a couple things you need to know. How am I going to set it up, number one? And number two, how do I do it? Obviously, if the setup isn't good, I promise you, the rest is impossible to difficult. Somewhere in there, okay? So, the first thing you always have to realize is you always have to have every exponent in there from 3 down. See, 3 is the biggest one. This is a degree 3 polynomial. Okay, it's naming it. But do you see which one is missing if I was to count them down perfectly if I go from left to right? 2. So I need to put that in. So that's the first thing you always must do. I'm getting a lot of ugly looks. You'll see what I mean. You have to put y cubed plus or minus, whatever floats your boat. I always do a plus 0y squared minus 6y plus 20. Now, do you see how I have it in 3, 2, 1, 0? First of all, they need to be in order, and everybody has to be there. If anybody is missing, you have to put them in. Now, I know what everybody's thinking. 0y squared, like, what's the point? Okay, you just added a 0 to it. Why don't you just leave it out? Save yourself some time and some pen. Okay, well, you'll see why it comes in very handy. Now, I'm going to divide it by y minus 3. I'm just talking to yourself out loud. Okay. So, now the goal, I'm going to tell you how to do this, because the goal is going to get you going on what you're going to do. First of all, the y minus 3, I have to divide into this huge trinomial, or not trinomial, sorry, 3-degree polynomial. But whatever I do, I'm going to draw a line here. This has to equal 0. I've got to get rid of the y cubed. That is my goal. Now, whatever I put up here, by up here I mean right here, whatever I put up here, I have to make sure I get a y cubed here. And I've got to multiply this to both of these. And this answer is going to go here, and this answer is going to go here. Okay? Now, what can I put here to multiply by this, so I will get the identical thing right here. These have to be identical because we know that identical things when subtracted give you 0. So what can I put up here to multiply by this to get this? Y 2. See, if I multiply by y squared here, we're going to multiply this, and then we're going to put that here, and we're going to get y cubed. That has to happen. If I got like a 4y to the 8 after I do it, I'm done. Like, I don't even know where to go next. And the other one has to just follow along for the ride. And I will get negative 3y squared. Now, do you see how y cubed minus y cubed equals 0? Everyone get that? And does everyone see how I got the negative 3y? Because I have to multiply to both of them. The first one, I did because I had to. The second one, I got to live with it. But do you see right now what I'm going to do to the 0y squared and the negative 3y squared? Just like we always did, we subtract them. What is 0y squared minus negative 3y squared? 0 minus negative 3. So this will be positive 3y squared. Now, does everybody see why I had to put that 0y squared in there? If I wouldn't have done that, I would have had negative 6y. And how am I supposed to subtract a negative 6y minus 3y squared? I can't. They got to be like terms. So this gives me the ability to be able to do this question. So setup is everything for these. Put them in order. Don't miss anybody. Then get going on it. Don't rush that step. And then, after you've done your subtraction, you drop a negative 6y. Maybe you're starting to see why these are so much fun. Now I got to do this all again. But what is my goal? My goal is to make this a 0 here. Because if I don't make it a 0, I'm not moving on. I want to keep moving. You see that we're going to keep going left, right, keep going right, right. You know, just like you remember doing those divisions. It took forever. You have that little thing, and at the end you're hoping you got a 0, right? Okay, that's what we're going to do here. The longer this thing is, the more levels you're going to do. So we're going to do it all again. So I know you can't erase yours, but this is what has to happen in the next one. The next one, I have to multiply to y minus 3, but I'm more careful about that first one, so I get a 0. What would I multiply by y to get 3y squared? 3y. Positive or negative? Positive. See, that will take care of your numbers, or the signs in between. That's y squared plus 3y. If I would have to multiply by a negative, I'd have a negative 3y. So then I'm going to do both of these again. Okay? But they're going down to this level here. Okay? So 3y times y, 3y squared. Now if it's not 3y squared, go back and redo it because you can't keep moving. Okay? Now 3y times negative 3 is, what am I writing down? Negative 9y. Now, negative 6y minus negative 9y is 3y. See, there's another opportunity to make a mistake. So you got to have all your ducks in a row here. You better get all of your numbers put in order and put in the zeros. Then you've got to figure out which one to do, and then you got to subtract properly, which is a struggle, right? And then you've got to make sure you drop one every time. Okay, so next thing I'm going to drop plus 20. Okay, now what would my next number be up top that I'm going to multiply by? Remember my goal. Talk to me. 3, right? Positive 3. So 3 times, so everybody knows what I'm doing. I'm doing this. 3 times y is 3y. So write a 3y right there. And 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So we should have 3y minus 9. Okay, what is 20 minus negative 9? 29. And if you look in the book, they have 11 there. Okay, shows you even the book when they were doing this. This guy's like a genius who made this book, seriously. And he still made mistakes. Okay. Now, what is the answer? Now, how do I know when I'm done? You know you're done when you can't bring any more things down. And it should be a constant. That'll be the last one. Now, what if there was no constant there? I better put plus 0. Okay? Now, the answer to this is, because they weren't in this form yet, P over D. What's P stand for? Polynomial. So, we can write it y cubed minus 6y plus 20 all over y minus 3. What does this equal? Y squared plus 3y plus 3 plus, so I'm going to write this underneath because I'm the remainder, which is 29 over the quotient y minus 3. Now, if you were in the diploma making business, wouldn't you put one of these on there? It's a great question, right? Now, if you're in the diploma writing business, you probably wouldn't want this one on there, but it is one that, I don't know how you're fluking this baby off. Okay? Now, I just want you to see, this is just a link, but I want you to just look at this one really, just look at it first. X cubed, okay? And I'm just going to roll the video. I just want you to think, what would you put here right away? Okay? So before I start it, just think to yourself what you would put there because you want this to be the same. So you got to multiply this by this. You're going to get that the same. Okay? So that's, you got to get that, right? Okay, again, I'm going to pause it now. I want you to think, what would you put up there to get rid of that 1x? Okay, and remember, how do you do it in that form? It's always this. So it's kind of, what I do is this the answer, and I do an arrow, is it's this plus this over this. So it's everything on the outside. This plus this over this. Okay, it makes a, what's up, Greg? Negative 5 minus negative 6 is the 1x. Then you got to drop this. Okay? That was just mean. Okay? Okay, this one is actually a bit easier than the last one. But before you do it, make sure no one's missing and they're in order. Okay, again, I want you to think what you would put there. Okay, now you're going to bring down the negative 10. So what number would you put up here? So it's x plus 5 plus this over this. Now 0 over x plus 2 is 0, right? So, you know, when we had 20 divided by 5, we just put 4. It's 4, right? Like we didn't, what else do I need? Yep. This is, you get this, right? Okay, and negative 5 plus 5, right? 0. No, that's going to mess with your head a lot, right? And remember, you're only going to get one of these on the, but you can graph your answer. You get the same graph as, you know, this divided by this. Graph your answer. Take this divided by this, y1, put your answer as y2, and you should get the answer. Okay? Let's go to... Okay, so this one here, they want us to get in this answer. We're taking 1 plus 5x cubed minus 4x plus 6x, and we're going to divide it by 2x minus 1. Okay? I'm going to give someone 10 seconds to write down this, set it up. Get everything in the house properly. That's the thing underneath. And the right thing on the outside. And then I'm going to ask somebody for your awesome help. Okay, so like we've already seen, if this isn't right, probably you're going to get the wrong answer after that. Okay, so how would I set this up? Haley, what's going inside the house? Okay, nice job. And what goes on the outside? 2x minus 1. I'll get this on a study sheet. I would circle, like if this was an example of my study, I would circle that and say, make sure you put these in or you can't do them. So when you look at your study sheet in 3 months, you'll remember that quick. Okay, obviously remember it quick because you just read it, right? But if you don't have it down, I'm going to get you on the diploma. Okay, well, not me, but big government guys. So, I'm always, since this is a binomial, I know I'm just dealing with these two. What number is going up here? Alyssa, what would you put up here? 3x cubed. That's what I put too. Okay, 3x cubed. 3 times 2 is 6x times x cubed. That's 6x to the 4. Now I've also, remember, I'm always doing both of them. And that's going to be minus 3x cubed. Okay? Now, you can put the 0 here or whatever. You don't have to, right? I mean, hopefully you're thinking that way. I'm always going to put a 0, but you can blow in there. And then 5 minus negative 3x cubed. What's that? 8x cubed. Remember, there's a big minus sign here all the time, right? So yeah, you got to keep those integers straight. And then I'm going to drop the 0x squared. Okay, now we're doing it all over again. What's going next? Jared, what would you put next? What do you have to multiply 2x by to get 8x cubed? What's 4x times 2x? Squared, so it's not enough. Okay, so then I get 8x cubed, and then negative 4x squared. See how I'm able to do this? Now I can keep going because of that 0x squared. So what's going underneath? What are we getting? 0 minus negative 4x squared. So what's going there? What's the answer? 4x squared. And then I'm bringing down negative 4x. So you got to be really organized when you do this stuff. You know, most people like to write everything sideways and upside down. They look at the whole, and I'm like, even when you come up, you're like, what did I do wrong? And I'm like, whoa, I can't even find out what you're doing here. So now I need to get rid of the 4x squared. So what would I multiply 2x by to get rid of 4x squared? So I'm just going to pick one lucky person out there. Jamie Prinz, what would I do? Plus 2x. Gives me 4x squared and negative 2x. Now, as you see, these things just keep going and going. So then I get negative 4 minus negative 2. What would that be? Negative 2x. And we keep going, but I know I'm coming to the end because I'm at the constant. What would I multiply? Negative 1. So that is negative 2x plus 1, which gives me 0. Oh, isn't that nice? Nice little 0 there. 6x to 4 plus 5x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals the divisor 2x minus 1 times the quotient 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 2x minus 1. Now, how would I know I got that right? I would put my question into y1, my answer into y2, and I will get the same graph. That should be a 5x cubed, right? 5x cubed, sorry. Okay. Now, is 2x minus 1 a factor? Yes or no? What's a factor of 20? 5. Why? Because it goes in nice without a remainder. That's called a factor. If it goes in nice without a remainder, it's called a factor. Okay? This one goes in there nice, right? So yes, since r equals 0. Now, again, 20 divided by 5 equals 4. 5 is a factor. 20 divided by 3 equals 6 2/3. Not a factor. Unless it goes nice and comes out with a 0, not a factor. Okay? What if something like this was given to you? They give you the answer, aka the quotient. They give you the divisor, and they give you the remainder. Can you figure out the polynomial? Okay? Some people just get a sick feeling in their stomach when they see a question like that. Now, if you remember that a polynomial equals the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. It should be p of x. Remember, you don't have to get all caught up in the x's. It means the polynomial equals the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. Now, what is the divisor? Okay, what is it? 2x minus 3. What is the quotient? X squared plus 4. What is the remainder? Negative 2. So that's your product. That's your polynomial. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this stuff out here. And this is just done by FOIL. So I'm going to go this and this first. So if you look at what I'm doing, I'm just doing the 2x times x squared equals 2x cubed. And then it's 2x times 4, which is 8x. And then negative 3 times x is, x squared I mean, is negative 3x squared. And then, because I'm doing these now, for anyone that I'm losing here, I'm just doing FOIL, okay? And negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. I should do that in red. Negative 12. And then in blue, I'm just putting this thing down here, minus 2. And then I just got to get these two together. So this equals 2x squared plus 8x. Oops, I should put this in order. 2x cubed minus 3x squared. So I'm just putting this in order. Plus 8x. And then minus 12 minus 2 is minus 14. See, and you thought this would be hard. Okay? Now, I promise you, if you practice these, you will get them. If you don't practice these, you will never get them. Okay? You just can't watch me do a couple and go, oh, yeah, that's easy. I got her done. You'll see that the challenges come from remembering what to do next. So, 1, 2, 4, 7 to 11.